have another drink, stop stressing. The cats are just driving me crazy. No, it's not the one and only YA. Silence was pitiful these days. Hello, I'm Charlotte and this is Desperately Seeking Charlotte. This is what I'm drinking. This is Aldi's Fanta Lemon Zero, but not Fanta Lemon. Got it in a glass because I'm classy like that. This is 55p a bottle. You wouldn't even get a can of Fanta Lemon Zero, and this is lemonier. So there's my budget tip for today. Today I'm coming to you with my June anticipated releases video. As always, some of these books have been sent to me. I will mention if they have, and also if they've been sent to me, there will be a little hashtag ad gifted here. So I asked you guys whether you wanted me to split these by release date or genre. So the winner was genre, so let's get into it. I'm going to start with YA, and this is going to be split into YA fantasy and YA contemporary. So on the 7th of June we have BRIGID KEMMERER's Forging Silver into Stars, and this is a spin-off from the Cursebreakers series. I believe this is also going to be a trilogy, but don't quote me on that one. This is following Tycho, and really that's all I know. As you know, I absolutely loved the Cursebreakers series. I've never really gotten much into fantasy, and there isn't any adult fantasy that I've read, so it's a genre that I'd like to pick up, but I'm a little bit scared. So yeah, looking forward to reading Forging Silver into Stars, and I believe that I have that pre-ordered, so hopefully I'll be reading that next month. The next book I believe is a debut author, and this is This Place is Still Beautiful by Gigi Tan. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm not totally sure how to pronounce it. Now this book again is YA contemporary, and this follows two sisters who their family undergoes a horrendous racially motivated attack, and the two sisters want to deal with it differently. One wants to just hide and pretend it never happened, while the other one wants to fight back, and this story follows how that affects their lives. This is the kind of hard-hitting contemporary YA that I still really enjoy reading, and this is going to be released on the 9th of June. And then on the 23rd of June we have Key to You and Me by J. Robin Brown. Now this, again, YA contemporary romance, but it's queer, and we all know that I love a queer romance. I believe that this is sapphic. I'm not sure whether the girls in it are lesbians or bisexual, but sapphic is always close to my heart, and I wish that I could have read more sapphic stuff when I was growing up. All I know about this one is our main character is trying to get over her ex-girlfriend, and she goes to spend the summer with her grandma, and then to make her get over her fear of driving, I have a little bit of a fear of driving, her grandma makes her get lessons from a local girl, and things go from there. This, I think, has been out in hardback for a while. I think this is the paperback release, and I'm looking forward to getting my hands on this one. Next we go on to thriller and mystery, and only one really stood out to me this month. I think it's because I've been in a more contemporary romance kind of easygoing mood recently. My mental health has been a bit so I've not wanted to read anything unless it's fluffy and lovey and nothing bad happens. But on the 9th of June we have Claire Allen's The Nurse. Now I have already read this one. I was kindly sent a copy via NetGalley, and I really enjoyed this one. I wouldn't say it was the best thriller that I've ever read, but it's the first one that I've read that really delves deep into the online world of incels, and it's another one of these books that it felt so real to me. I think because at the time I read it, I've worked in that kind of environment, and it just, yeah, it had me jumping, and I didn't want to sleep for a while after this one. So possibly wouldn't read it if you're of a nervous disposition. I don't remember there being too much kind of body horror and things. It was more psychological, but it is about a nurse that has gone missing, and yeah, I found it really interesting actually. There was there was a lot of things in it that made me think. I think it's one of those that if you just, on the surface, it was a good thriller, but actually if you scratch below the surface a little bit, it really made me think about things. So yeah, I definitely recommend that one. And then on to my one non-fiction book this month. I'm not sure what order these videos have gone up in. You may have seen already. No, you won't, because this is going up tomorrow. A little bit of a spoiler alert, this one. I have DNF'd this one for now, but that is The Reluctant Carer, Dispatches from the Edge of Life. And the only reason I have DNF'd this is to protect my own mental health. This is quite a witty, dry, sense of humoured look into the life of our author, who is now caring for his elderly parents. And I've just had some stuff happen recently, and it's not the time for me to be reading this one. But this is just a DNF for now, and I will be picking it up at some point in the future when I'm in a better headspace. And then a historical fiction, which again I have DNF'd, and I feel quite bad about this one because this was very kindly sent to me from Book Break, but it just wasn't for me. And that is Briefly a Delicious Life by Nell Stevens. So basically the premise of this is that we have a queer ghost who is watching the lives of this family unfold in a disused monastery. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, in Mallorca. And I really wanted to love this one, but it was just a bit too literary for me. A lot of it was just going over my head, and I felt like I was getting into a reading slump. But I still wanted to include it here because I think if you enjoy literary fiction, especially queer historical literary fiction, you'll really, really enjoy this. If I didn't already say, both of those are going to be released on the 23rd of June. Now on to what is going to be by far the biggest section of this video. This is the adult contemporary section. Now, if you've seen any of my videos recently, I am definitely on a romance, fluffy, adult contemporary kick. So the first of these is Nora Goes Off Script, and this is very kindly being sent to me for part of their blog tour. Haven't read this one yet, but Nora is a script writer for a romance channel, and she should know this stuff, but her love life maybe isn't as romantic as the scripts that she writes until she meets Leo, and then it just says for 7 days, it's the blink of an eye or an eternity depending on how you look at it. It's enough time to fall in love, enough time to break your heart. For Nora and Leo, this kind of love is bigger than the big screen, and so excited to dive into this one. I think I'm actually going to start it this afternoon. I'm just looking at my chair over there like, yes, me, you will be a good Sunday afternoon. Then on Thursday the 9th of June, we have a debut novel from Emma Carroll, and I'm sure when I say what this is, you're going to be like, of course. This is One Last Letter from Greece, and if you've seen my Corfu vlogs, you know that I am obsessed with Greece at the moment. And basically, when Sophie's mother dies, she has to piece together her past, and that's all I need to know. I've told you before on these things, I don't like to go too far into these. I like to kind of get a vague idea of what the book's about and then go from there. And this kind of gives me Mamma Mia vibes. I don't know if that's just because the character's name is Sophie and it's set in Greece, but I'm looking forward to getting my hands on that one. Then on the 23rd of June, an author who isn't quite new to me, but I'm sure a lot of you will have heard of. I believe that Aoife from Pretty Purple Polka Dots has spoken about Isabelle Broom before, and her book, The Summer Trip, will be out. All I needed to know about this one is it's been 18 years since Ava last visited the island of Corfu, and I was like, yep, don't want to read that. So basically, she remembers who she left there, and having been estranged from her family, she decides to go back. It's got love, it's got romance, it's got Corfu. What more could I ask for in a book? Also on the 23rd of June, an author that I think you will have all heard of, and that is Cressida McLaughlin's The Cream Tea Bus Holiday. Yes, I have this month read both the Cornish Cream Tea Bus and the Cornish Cream Tea Summer. The next one is a Christmassy one, so I'm going to be hanging on to that till nearer the end of the year if I can help myself. I have had these books on my shelf for far too long, and I was sleeping on them. And yeah, I read The Staycation earlier in the year and just fell in love with Cressida McLaughlin's writing. And so, yeah, gave the Cornish Cream Tea Bus a 5-star, and this is the next in the series. Obviously, I'm not quite there yet, but if you have read the series and want to go back to Portugal, there you go. And then another new to me author is Lauren Ho, who is the author of Lucy You Is Not a Romantic. Now this I have included here because it has this dynamic that I don't think I've read about before, and this is when our main character believes that Mr. Right is a myth, but when she then decides that she wants children, so is going for Mr. Right for children, and she finds him on a platonic co-parenting website. She then moves back home to Singapore, where this plan is not met very well by a very traditional family and an ex-fiance who's still in love with her. And it says, with the pressure mounting on all sides, well, what will she be willing to risk for a chance at happiness and maybe even love? And yeah, I just thought that one sounded really interesting. It's not something that I've read about before. And then last but not least, on the 30th of June is Helga Jensen's A Scandinavian Summer. Again, not an author that I'd heard of before, and this book just stood out to me. So after the tragic death of her husband, our main character has spent all of her life focused on bringing up her teenage daughter in a small town in Wales. But with her daughter flying the nest, she decides that maybe it's time to move on, and books a trip to Denmark after being inspired by Scandinavian dramas. And I don't think I've actually read anything set in that kind of environment, so I really wanted to add that one to the list. I hope you've enjoyed that. Please let me know down below if any of these books are on your radar, and also if you think there's any June releases that I've missed and that I should be keeping an eye out for. And until next time, look after yourselves. Bye!